exercises also control and is able to regulate utilization of the same. In the same manner, the local government unit is also considered as a corporation of its own, which is a juridical person representing the people or constituents in its territory. So given this, it is necessary, syempre, that they have their own plans to carry out these political powers or authority. So as a political subdivision of the national government, it is imperative that the LGUs take charge in the management of their territorial jurisdiction in behalf of the national government. And as a corporation, responsible then ang local government units to represent its inhabitants in various contracts and etc. Also, it is within the obligation of the local government unit to promote the general welfare within the territorial jurisdiction ng kanilang constituent. And to exercise and to promote this general welfare, it is within their authority also to deliver the basic services and facilities para ma-develop talaga ang ating communities into a self-reliant communities. So given sa Section 16 ng Local Government Code, enumerated yung mga basic services na dapat na dinideliver ng local government units. One of which is the preservation and enrichment of culture, promotion of health and safety, enhancement of the right of the people to a balanced ecology, and encouragement and support for the development of appropriate scientific and technological capabilities. Hindi rin nawawala sa obligation ng local government units ang improvement of public morals, maintenance of peace and order, preservation of comfort and convenience of the inhabitants, promotion of full employment, and enhancement of the economic prosperity and social justice. So itong Section 16, ito din ang binasehan ngayon ng mga devolved functions, as earlier mentioned, under the Mandanas ruling. Mas nabigyan ng importance ngayon na ang local government unit should take the lead in promoting programs, projects, and activities to enhance the general welfare of their constituents. So, na siya nag-move. So, from the authority, meron din po tayong mandated codes to be formulated ng ating mga local government units. Kasi sabi nga po natin yan, ang local government units, yung dual function niya, kailangan fully exercised ngayon. So it is necessary for them to fully exercise this through proper planning. So sabi nga natin yan, planning without doing is futile, while doing without planning is fatal. So it is necessary for the local government units to come up with two major plans, one of which is the comprehensive land use plan. This plan pertains to the management of the entire geographical territory of the local government unit. For the cities and municipalities, we call the plan as comprehensive land use plan, but when it comes to the provinces, we call the plan as the physical framework plan of the province. So the comprehensive land use plan, as is stated in Section 20, letter C ng RA 7160, ang primary responsible to formulate this ay ang local sanggunian. Kasi dito, pinaplano ng local government units through the sanggunian yung primary and dominant uses ng resources nila, not only for the present, but also for the future land resources. Ang requirement dito sa comprehensive land use plan, makakome up sila ng policies na magsasatisfy sa food production, human settlement, and industrial expansion. So we know very well na contained ang authority ng isang local government unit within his territory. But he has the authority to manage it properly. And he can only manage it properly kung meron siyang comprehensive land use plan. So another mandated plan na meron ang local government unit ay yung tinatawag nating comprehensive development plan. Comprehensive development plan naman, ang may responsibility dito, hindi na ang sanggunian, but it has to be formulated by the local chief executive through the local development council. Ang proposal or ang plan ng local development council, inaaprubahan ito ng local sanggunian. So ang concentration ng comprehensive plan is more on the sectoral development of the community and starts with the institutional sector, which serves as the calyx or the holder or the foundation of all the other sectors. So sa institutional sector, we try to instill in the local officials and the functionaries capacity and capability to deliver the basic services required by the constituents. So meron pa itong additional na 5 development sector, which is the environment and natural resources sector, the infrastructure sector, economic sector, and the social sector. For the LGUs, very much familiar na sila dito kasi even in the vision statement, reflected na ang 5 sectors na to in their vision. So sa comprehensive development planning, we always start with the vision, and the vision usually entails descriptor for these 5 sectors. So ito po ang binabasehan naman ng ating local development incentive plan and yung annual investment plan. Local development investment plan and the annual investment plan rather. So ito po yung framework na fina-follow natin sa ating comprehensive development plan and comprehensive land use plan. Kino-consider natin the long-term framework plan which lasts for at least 9 years. Ang iba po, more than 9 years na pag nag-formulate sila ng comprehensive land use plan. Pero ang minimum yan is 9 years talaga. They have to come up with policy areas governing settlement, protection, production, and infrastructure. So dito, ang management ng territory ay lodged sa local sanggunian, kaya ang nagka-come up sila ng mga policies. So dito pa lang sa policies na to, the sanggunian can already come up with strategies to implement these policies. And we should remember that a sanggunian can only, a local government unit can only collect taxes, revenues, fees, and charges if mayroong sanggunian ordinance. So dito pa lang po sa settlement policies, protection policies, production policies, and infrastructure policies, pwede nang maka-strategize ang ating sanggunian ng mga possible sources of revenues to finance yung mga programs, projects, and activities to be implemented by the LGUs. But if we will be talking about the comprehensive land use plan, these policies should be converted into the zoning ordinance na implementing instrument nitong comprehensive land use plan. Other than the zoning ordinances, they can also come up with other regulatory measures to include po impossible sources of revenues out of these policies, particularly doon sa regulatory measures na kailangan i-impose. And with these regulatory measures, pwede tayong mag-impose ng services, service fees, taxes, and charges. So this comprehensive land use plan, ang implementing policy din niya dito para ma-concretize, para mabigyan ng mas appropriate interventions, yung mga policies, kailangan magkaroon din ang isang local government unit ng comprehensive development plan. Ang comprehensive development plan, as earlier explained, sectoral ang approach niya, and ito ang nagbibigay ng meat dito sa framework ng ating geographical management ng ating territories. So itong multi-year, multi-sectoral development plan usually lasts for 2 terms, so 6 years. So dinedefine dito sa comprehensive development plans program, projects, and activities na under social, economic, infra, and institutional. And kinakal out from the 6-year term yung executive and legislative agenda na formulated every time na may new set tayo of local elected officials. So good to note that for Camarines Sur, almost all local government units have already updated their executive legislative agenda, which we supposes to be derived from the existing or updated comprehensive development plan of the LGUs. This executive legislative agenda will run for the term that these local officials will be serving. Kaya siya tinawag po nating term-based agenda. This plan can only be implemented through the approved local investment program and the annual investment program incorporated in the annual budget of the local government units. It is expected that the annual investment plan and program ay fully funded ng annual budget. Kasi kung wala siya sa annual budget, hindi siya mabibigyan ng fruition, hindi siya marirealize. Pero the annual budget, ang kanyang basis ay yung approved annual investment program. So expected natin kung mayroong plan at mayroong budget, it can be implemented. And it is expected na using government funds, may improve ang public delivery, public services, mai-improve ang public facilities and infra, at mai-increase ang public awareness and participation ng ating community. In the long run, mag-change ngayon ang economic and social well-being of our constituent at mag-change or ma-configure natin ang quality ng ating physical environment para ma-attain natin ang sustainable development. And with the improvement of the public services and delivery ng ating mga implementers at the local level, magkakaroon din ng change sa local institutional capacities. So dito pa lang po sa framework na to, makaka-identify na din tayo again ng strategies on how to be able to improve the public services by ensuring that the annual investment program is properly included in the annual budget with appropriate funds. Okay, so ito pong simplified planning process and planning instruments na to, hindi ko na po siya i-discuss thoroughly. For the local government units, I'm sure alam niyo po yung process na to. But I would like to concentrate more on the local development investment plan, what it is, and how it will help us in coming up with strategies to implement the content of this investment program. Principally po, ang local development investment program ay instrument to implement the comprehensive development plan as earlier explained. It is a document that translates the comprehensive development plan into programs and projects, and nagkakaroon niya ng prioritization so that the LGU can pick up the most urgent, necessary, and essential programs and projects to be funded out of the general fund of the local government unit. Kung hindi siya kayang i-fund sa general fund ng LGU, pwede siyang i-generate from other schemes na available and capable ang local government units to enter into. Ang time frame po, short-term ng isang LDIP ay 3 years. So term-based siya. So ang annual investment plan, slice lang siya from the LDIP, pero nakalagay po dito yung requirements niya na for the programs, projects, and activities to be integrated in the annual budget. For planning purposes, ito po yung binabasehan natin sa annual budget. Para naman po sa budgeting purposes, itong total resource requirement for the budget year, kasali po siya sa consideration sa annual budget. At nabi-breakdown po natin ang AIP sa personal services, maintenance and other operating expenses, and capital outlay. So again, iniisip lang po natin dito, pag nailagay na siya sa annual investment plan, dapat ito ay supported ng annual budget. So yung plan nyo po, maaaring hindi siya mas marami ang ma-identify, pero yung nandoon sa annual budget, assured na po siya ngayon ng funding. There may be programs, projects, and activities na nandoon sa LDIP na hindi pwedeng i-accommodate dito sa annual budget ng LGU, pero maaari po siyang i-finance from other sources ng local government unit. Pwede siyang from national government agencies, pwede din po siyang i-borrow, pwede din pong may engagement with private corporations, pero hindi po siya mabibigyan ng consideration and hindi siya maipapasa sa sanggunian kung wala siya sa investment plan or program ng local government unit. Kung naka-ready po siya for this year, dapat andun siya sa annual investment plan. Okay. Ang AIP should be supported po, lalo na kung ito po ay nakapasok sa annual budget ng LGU, kailangan yung GAD, plan, and budget DILG endorse. So kailangan din po na sa AIP, meron kayong proper allocation, 5%, para sa Local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan. Nire-require na din po ngayon na mayroon na tayong tagging doon sa mga programs, projects, and activities natin na related sa climate change. So, incorporated dapat sa AIP ang Climate Change Action Plan. In the same manner, ang Peace and Order Plan, incorporated din po siya dapat sa AIP. Kasi itong Peace and Order Plan na to, lagi po natin siyang hinahanap dahil doon sa premise na you can never attain development without required peace and order in any level of governance. So meron din po sa budget allocation natin ang at least 1% of the ERA to be allocated for programs, projects, and activities intended for children. And we get that from the Local Council for the Protection of Children Work and Financial Plan. Mayroon din pong mga instances na nakalagay sa General Appropriations Act na mayroon din mga programs, projects, and activities dapat na allocated for senior citizens and persons with disability, including programs, projects, and activities to combat AIDS. So ito po, dapat makikita po natin ito sa AIP. So in the preparation of the AIP, it does not end with the formulation of the AIP. Para po mabigyan talaga natin, mabigyan po natin ng support annual investment plan natin, it is necessary po na nakaka-identify din tayo ng priority legislative requirements. Kasi kung walang legislative support ang ating AIP, mahihirapan din po tayong mag-implement nito. And to fully operationalize the AIP, we also have to identify yung mga development interventions na needed natin para kahit papano, lalong-lalo na po yung ating mga local functionaries pagdating sa CapDev, mabigyan din po ito ng intervention para hindi po tayo mahirapan sa implementation of the approved annual investment plan. And it goes without saying that whenever we have a plan, we have to continuously monitor it and evaluate in preparation and in having another plan for the incoming year. So, ang monitoring and evaluation po ng AIP, hindi dapat siya nawawala. Okay. So, in carrying out the annual investment plan and in carrying out all the programs, projects, and activities, ito po yung mga authority levers and tools for the plan implementation. Sabi takayan, kung may kitang pondo, kumuron kita. But then, as earlier explained po sa CLUP and CDP, it is necessary na mayroon po tayong regulatory measures in place para po ma-implement natin ang ating mga plans na ito. So first, sa regulation po, sa CLUP, first and foremost, ang implementing tool po ng ating CLUP ay yung zoning ordinance. Sa zoning ordinance, makaka-identify po tayo dyan ng areas for settlement, areas for industries, commercial areas, alin yung ancestral domain, alin ang protected areas, alin ang agricultural areas. Sa zoning, makakapag-regulate din po tayo and makiki-impose din po tayo ng fees and charges. Lalong-lalo na po pagdating dito sa industrial zones and commercial areas. And makaka-identify din po tayo ng corrective measures, regulatory measures to ensure na yung agricultural lands po natin and protected areas ay full ang production without sacrificing the environment. So without the zoning ordinance and the CLUP, sa subdivision regulation, mahihirapan po tayo. Kasi sa subdivision plan po, lalo na po doon sa approval ng development plan for subdivision, kung wala po tayong CLUP, ang approval po niyan, andun pa din po sa DSUD. Kasi hindi tayo makakabigay ng development plan o authority. Okay. So, sa regulation pa lang po ng subdivision, may ma-generate na dyan ng funds ang LGU kung merong zoning ordinance ang LGU. Building regulations. Part din po ito ng regulations, part din siya ng zoning ordinance, and part din siya ng building code. So necessary po, kung gusto po nating meron tayong masingil sa ating mga building fees and charges, kailangan meron po ang local government units na building regulation. The same din po sa environmental law enforcement. Although dito, mas restrictive rather than regulatory kung titingnan po natin ang environmental laws. So again, pagdating sa regulation, this is entirely within the domain and authority of the local sanggunian. And I just would like to emphasize that with regulation comes the possibility of the LGUs generating funds to finance their programs, projects, and activities. So taxation is also exercised by the sanggunian. So mayroon po tayong mga basic taxes na pwede pong i-review ng sanggunian, lalong-lalo na po kung matagal na ang rates imposed. So sa basic taxes po, i-remind ko lang po sa provinces, sa kanila po ang imposition ng transfer ng real property ownership. Sa kanila din po ang real property tax. So every ilang years ano naman po sila niyan, nagre-review na nag-appraisal. So continuous lang po dapat ang appraisal para continuous din po ang pag-increase ng tax collection. pati po yung taxes on business printing and publication. Ang provinces po sa kanila ito nakalodge. Franchise taxes, taxes on sand, gravel, and other quarry resources, professional taxes, amusement taxes, pati po yung annual fixed tax sa delivery trucks and etc. Lahat po yan ay sources of revenues ng provinces. For the municipal LGUs po, mayroon taxes on business, fees, charges, fishery rentals, and etc. What the Sanggunian has to do, and this is the opportune time for them to do it, dahil katatapos lang ng eleksyon, i-review po nila yung revenue taxes nila. Para doon sa revenue taxes, baka kailangan ng mag-increase, pwede na pong mag-increase. Para mayroong 2 taon, 2 taon at kalahati na makalimutan ng tao kung sino yung author sa increase ng fees and charges and taxes. So pagdating ng sunod na eleksyon, pwede nang idepensa ng author na nag-translate ito sa various improvements sa basic services dahil tumaas ang revenue ng lokal na pamahalaan. Meron din po tayong pwedeng special levy on properties. Assured naman po tayo na every time na magbabayad tayo ng real property tax, 1% yan, dediretso sa special education fund. Pero ang nakakalimutan po, ang laging nakakalimutan ng ating mga sanggunian ay ang mag-impose ng taxes for idle lands. Kasi ang idle lands po, pwedeng may taxes tayong i-impose dyan, ang sanggunian na i-impose kasi hindi niya na ma-maximize ang utilization ng land na yan. Sayang naman. Pero pwede din pong mag-expose ng special benefit levy doon naman sa mga areas na previously ay mababa ang assessed value pero dahil nag-introduce na dyan ng development ang local government units, nag-introduce na dyan ng road, accessible na siya, meron ng mga commercial establishment na nag-put up ng negosyo dyan. Pagdating mo doon sa zoning, yung industrial area, na-convert na siya sa industrial area. So tumaas na ang appraised value, pwede pong mag-impose ng special benefit levy for those areas. Ang kailangan lang po magkaroon ng ordinance on that ang ating local sanggunian. So again, ito po isang strategy para madagdagan ang revenue ng local government units para ma-finance yung mga programs, projects, and activities na andon sa annual investment plan and program ninyo. Other way of financing yung mga public ating programs and projects ay ang investment program. Ito po yung 20% IRA ng ating LGU. Meron po itong guidelines na sinusunod na dapat ma-gasto siya or ma-spend siya for development projects. So yung 20% utilization ito. Other than that, meron naman pong NGA programs projects na binababa sa lokal na pamahalaan na pwede po nating matap. Despite the devolution, despite the Mandanas ruling, meron naman din pong na-retain na mga programs and projects sa national government. So ito wala naman pong recipients nito, kundi ang mga lokal na pamahalaan. What is important is that the LGU is able to identify the programs and projects that they need which can be financed by the national government agencies. Kasi kung wala po yan sa local investment program, hindi din po yan ma-finance ng lokal na pamahalaan, ay ng national na pamahalaan. Another po na pwedeng gamiting levers natin ay yung private sector investment incentive. Pwede pong makipag-joint venture sa ating mga private sector para po magkaroon ng financing sa mga identified na local development projects. Pwede din po ang build, operate, and transfer scheme, again with the private sector. Or pwede din po na mag-loan ang lokal na pamahalaan with banking institutions offering loans, usually government loans din po yan sa land bank and other banks. Ang nakagarantiya naman po dyan pag nakapag maglo-loan ang lokal na pamahalaan ay ang 20% development fund. Yun lang nga po, kailangan may approval ito para kayo po ay makapag-engage sa loan agreement with financing institution. Isa din pong policy na maaaring mag-encourage ng investment in your locality ay mag-offer po kayo ng investment incentive sa ating mga investors. Pwede pong magbigay dyan ng tax break, pwede pong magbigay ng incentives na hindi muna magbabayad ng ilang fees and charges, depende po sa capitalization, and etc. So all this po pwede mag-engage ang isang lokal na pamahalaan in the exercise of their corporate powers. So kaya po importante ma-determine natin yung quality and corporate power ng ating lokal na pamahalaan. At dito po ma-exercise dito yung corporate powers dito sa joint venture with the private sector. So, ang budget po, alam naman po natin yan, it is the financial plan embodying the estimates of income and expenditure for a given period, and usually po sa atin ay 1 year yan. So, sa budget po, andyan ang annual investment plan. Ang basehan ng budget ay ang annual investment plan. So, ang budget cycle po natin, mag-i-start siya sa preparation. Ang strategy po natin ngayon para siguraduhin natin na na-approve po yung ating annual investment plan. Sa preparation pa lang po, siguraduhin na natin na lahat ng possible programs and projects na necessary, urgent na mapondohan, ma-incorporate na po natin siya. And ang my responsibility po dito, yung concerned department head at yung local finance committee. Kasi sila po ngayon ang nagpe-prepare ng executive budget in behalf of the mayor bago po siya isasubmit sa sanggunian. Sa sanggunian authorization, dito po pwedeng mag-impose ang sanggunian ng limitation sa ilang mga budget items, pero hindi po sila pwedeng magdagdag ng hindi nakapaloob doon sa prepared executive budget. Pero pwede po silang magbawas at maglipat doon sa ilang mga programs and projects. Pero siguraduhin lang po sana sa preparation stage pa lang, complete na po and properly funded na yung mga programs, projects, and activities. Again, kung hindi po siya properly funded within the annual budget of the LGU, pwede naman pong i-identify sa AIP ang other possible sources nila. So again, hindi siya limited doon. Pero syempre, pagdating sa budget, limited lang tayo doon sa estimate na budget na mayroon tayo for the year. So yung authorization from the sanggunian, i-review po yan ng higher sanggunian, pero ang execution po niyan ay sa local chief executive, and accountability po dyan, ang accountable po dyan, lahat ng responsible persons in the implementation of the programs, projects, and activities. Dito din po sa execution, pwede rin po tayo dyan maka-strategize ng mga ways to maximize the utilization of the funds appropriated for the programs, projects, and activities. Lalong-lalo na po sa mga quality projects na dapat na to-deliver natin sa ating mga constituents. So kahit dito po sa budget process, pwede po tayong mag-strategize para ma-concretize po natin yung approved annual investment plan. So reminders lang po ito sa ating budgetary requirements. Hindi po dapat na mag-exceed sa estimate ng income yung appropriation po natin. Lagi lang din po nating tatandaan dahil may mga budgetary requirements tayo, hindi po pwedeng mawala sa AIP yung statutory and contractual obligations. Tapos kung halimbawa po uutang ang LGU, hindi po dapat mag-exceed sa 20% ng regular income. Lagi po natin yung tatandaan. For the municipality po, hindi pwedeng mawala yung 1,000 na allocation per barangay. Hindi rin po pwedeng mawala. It's the, sa appropriation ninyo, yung 5% na DRRMF, yung sa fees reduction and management fund. Again, yung 20% ng NTA po na ngayon para sa development project, budgetary requirements din po yan. Ito din po, kasi nagkaroon po tayo ng DTP, yung Devolution Transition Plan. Lagi lang po nating tandaan na ang positions in the official plantilla for career positions, covered po siya dapat ng adequate appropriation. So wala din pong changes sa designation or nomenclature of positions dahil lang po sa increase and decrease ng compensation, kailangan po laging mayroong appropriation. Except po kung vacant yung position na yon. So in accordance po yan sa civil service law or law, rules, and regulations. So ang creation po ng new position and salary increases, hindi po siya pwedeng retroactive. Lagi lang po siyang prospective. Yung annual appropriation po natin sa discretionary purposes ng ating local chief executive, hindi po dapat nag-i-exceed sa 2% ng actual receipt ng basic real property tax natin nung preceding calendar year. Lagi po natin siyang tatandaan. Meron din po tayong mga limitations. Ang una po dyan, ang income, ang allocation po natin sa personal services, hindi po mag-i-exceed sa 45 for the first to third class municipalities and 55 for the fourth to sixth class municipalities. Wala din pong officials and employees na entitled sa salary rate na higher than the maximum fixed sa position niya. So hindi po pwede yun na mas mataas na sa naka-fix sa position niyang salary ang marireceive natin. So, no local fund shall be appropriated to increase or adjust the salaries of wages of officials. Pagka sa abolition po ng position and creation, yung abolition po niyan dapat in accordance with the local government code. So, lagi lang po nating tatandaan na ang major local sources of revenue po natin, real property tax, business taxes, fees and charges, saka receipts from economic enterprises. Ito lang po. Sa economic enterprises, dapat po hindi siya nakakadagdag sa expenditure ng LGUs. Dapat po ang economic enterprise to be a true economic enterprise, dapat nakaka-stand po siya on his own. Yung mga expenditures niya at yung operational cost niya dapat galing na sa receipts from the economic enterprise. Kasi isa po sa mga findings namin, may mga economic enterprises na halos palugi ang operation ng lokal na pamahalaan. Mas yung salaries ng mga personnel na nag-ooperate ng economic enterprise, hindi pa kayang i-finance ng income generated from the economic enterprise. So ito po isang dapat tingnan ng LGU pagdating sa forecasting po ng revenue. Kasi dapat, again, self-sufficient siya and nag-o-augment siya sa income talaga ng LGU. Kasi kung palugi siya, baka po kailangan mag-strategize kayo, ipamanage na lang siya sa private. May share na lang ang LGU. Mas sigurado pa doon na may income ang LGU without the unnecessary burden of operational and personal expenditures. So sa Mandanas ruling po, ito pong mga devolved services na to, ibibigay na po siya sa lokal na pamahalaan. Kung titingnan po natin ito, masyado siyang mabigat. medyo base po sa analysis ng DPM and other national government agencies, yung target na dapat fully devolve ang lahat ng functions na ito sa local government unit, parang hindi po kakayanin until 2024. Base din po doon sa mga submitted na devolution transition plan ng ating local government units and that of the national government agencies, sa kasalukuyan po, parang hindi pa talaga planned out masyado. Hindi pa para capacity and capability wise ready ang ating lokal na pamahalaan. But just the same, ang full implementation of the devolution will be until 2024. Pero meron pong mga suggestions pa lang still being considered na i-extend ito para mabigyan ng ample time ang local government units to fully absorb the devolved functions. But we still have to wait for the final decision of the central government. But for the meantime, ito pong mga ito ay mga devolved functions na sa local government units. And that is why it is timely and appropriate for us to really discuss concretization of the approved annual investment plan. Because without the proper resources, without the proper revenue within the LGU, hindi po talaga kayang ma-finance lahat ng devolved functions na ito. So kailangan po talaga mag-strategize para ma-finance ng lahat ng ito. And again, ang strategies po will come from the authority and power exercised by the local government units. With that, thank you very much po. And if you have any question, okay lang po na kaya sasagutin ko po sa abot ng aking kakayahan. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am PD Melody. Sa dami po ng mga diniscuss, sana na-absorb po ng mga participants po natin. Gaya nung sa paggawa po ng comprehensive development plan, na importante po 'yon na kasi yung annual investment plan is an implementation plan po ng CDP at kailangan yung paggawa ng comprehensive development plan ng local government units in partnership po sa mga stakeholders, kailangan addressing po yung needs kasi mahirap po yung may mga plans po na ginawa na limited po yung financial sources. Kaya yung na-mention po ni Ma'am PD Melody, yung mga isa sa mga strategies yung sourcing of funds. So we go now to the open forum portion. So mayroon po Ma'am PD itong question po kay Ma'am Gina Iroco. So sabi po niya, I just learned that the DILG has 9 sectors, functions, which is fine. I want to ask about the capacity development program. What are these about? Thank you po, ma'am. So from Gina Iroco po yan, ma'am. Ma'am PD.
Okay. Ang capacity development program po actually is, ang short term lang natin dyan is CapDev. In CapDev, we try to look into the pillars, may pillars yan within the local government unit to really determine kung saan sila nahihirapan and what interventions are needed para mabigyan agad ng answers yung mga difficulties nila, particularly in the delivery of their functions. So hindi ko sigurado yung 9 sectors na yung sinasabi. 9 sectors ng DILG. Pero when it comes to capacity development, each national government agency, meron po silang capacity development program na binababa sa isang lokal na pamahalaan pertaining to the implementation of the possible devolved functions. If we will be talking about the capacity development program within the LGU as a whole, it pertains more on looking into the capacity and capability of the LGU to deliver the basic services required of them. In the local government academy modules, we have several pillars to look into, and inward look yon ng lokal na pamahalaan to determine kung saan sila nangangailangan pa ng interventions. Una, tinitingnan dyan yung structure ng lokal na pamahalaan. If the structure is still appropriate for the demands of time and the delivery requirements ng ating constituents. Tinitingnan din yung management system, operational-wise ng mga offices within the LGU. Tinitingnan din dyan sa capacity development yung enabling policies existing para ma-augment or ma-assist yung sanggunian at yung executive in coming up with relevant orders, memorandums, ordinances, and systems needed by the different departments within the LGU para ma-address din siya agad. So in the LGU, meron tayong kinakandak dyan na series of workshops para ma-determine ito, for them to come up with a capacity development agenda to support yung executive legislative agenda and the comprehensive development plan na meron sila. So I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yes po, okay na ma'am. Okay, another request po, Ma'am PD, from COA, Gina A. Fronda. Can we possibly have the copy of the presentations? Thank you. Request po, ma'am.
Okay po, ibigay ko na lang po sa Ateneo.
Okay po. Okay na po, Ma'am Gina. Okay, another question. Meron po isang question, Ma'am PD, from Marion A. Ramirez. What are the precautionary measures of the national government, the DILG, that the implementation of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling will not be abused by the local chief executives or the local government units? O yung local chief executives, head siya ng LGUs. Question from Marion A. Ramirez.
Okay. Sa devolution transition plan po, meron tayong Executive Order number 138. Sa concerned national government agencies with devolved functions to be given to the local government units, they are required to have their own devolution transition plan. In the same manner, the local government units are also required and have already submitted their devolution transition plan. In the devolution transition plan, na-slice and na-identify na po nila kung ano yung mga priority services and activities devolved good for implementation this year, next year, until 2024. Ito pong plans na to, submitted din po ito sa national government agencies concerned and to the DILG. So meron din po tayong mga memorandum circular na in-issue detailing and in guiding the local chief executives and the local government units in general on how to piece by piece or on a staggered basis dapat na i-implement nila yung Mandanas ruling. Again, meron din po tayong mga limitations provided for in the budget na nagsiset lang din ng limits para hindi po na-abuse ang use of resources. Yung sa creation na lang, they cannot create positions na hindi pa necessary sa devolution and hindi dapat na nag-i-exceed sila doon sa personal services ceiling. So meron din po ang Civil Service Commission na ini-issue na parameters for the hiring kasi kailangan may qualification standards din so mga i-hire natin sa civil service. So govern din sila ng civil service law. So yun lang po, mga ilang parameters na yun, mai-ensure na po natin na kung may abuse man dyan on a very limited scale. Kasi meron pong in place na mga guidelines and restrictions. Nasa law na din po yan and nasa national government agencies concerned. At ang monitoring and evaluation po, hindi pa rin naman nawawala.
Okay. Another question po from Julius Castillo. Julius Castillo. Good afternoon and thank you for your presentation, PD Relucio. You have mentioned that zoning ordinance is primordially needed for the formulation of a CLUP. What will be the role of the barangays for this?
Okay. Baliktarin po natin ha. CLUP muna po. Pag may CLUP na po, ini-implement siya through a zoning ordinance and other regulatory measures. So, sa CLUP formulation pa lang po, sa zoning ordinance finalization, may delineation na po yan ng territory. And hindi po pwedeng magpasa ng CLUP and zoning ordinance without consulting the barangays. Kasi sa CLUP po, meron tayo diyang portion na tinatawag po nating spatial strategy, spatial development strategy, kung saan geared ang development ng territory ng isang lokal na pamahalaan. Dinadelineate na din po sa zoning ordinance alin dyan ang industrial area, alin ang alin ang commercial area, alin ang agricultural and etc. So they cannot pass that without considering the roles of the barangay. In the spatial development din po, dinedefine na din dyan ano ang magiging development direction and role ng barangays in the total territorial management ng isang LGU. So malaki po ang role ng barangays sa formulation ng CLUP and sa coming up with the zoning ordinance based on the approved CLUP.
Okay, last ano lang po question, Ma'am PD. From Rodeline Malones po, what are the requirements on the part of the LGUs in line with the implementation of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling?
Okay. Ang requirement po sa LGU is to absorb the devolved functions and activities. Isabay ko na po yung sagot dito kay Marion Ramirez. Kung yung mga LGUs na walang devolution transition plan ay bibigyan pa din ng devolved fund. Automatic pong na-release yung national tax allocation sa ating mga lokal na pamahalaan. So, pag-start pa lang po ng January, nakita na po nila yung increase sa kanilang national tax allotment. So, ando na po yun. Pero, ang sigurado po sa amin, lahat po ng lokal na pamahalaan nakapag-submit ng devolution transition plan kasi ni-require po yun. Ni-require po yun sa kanila hanggang sa level ng barangay na mag-come up with the devolution transition plan. Unfortunately lang po, hindi lahat ng devolution transition plan ay na-review. Hindi po siya actually talaga na-review. Kasi reality natin ngayon, even the devolution transition plan of the national government agencies are not yet, most of them are not yet approved by the Department of Budget and Management. Required din po kasi siya na ma-approve din. Pero ang requirement po ngayon sa LGU dahil nandun na po sa kanila yung funds, ay yung naka-identify nila sa Devolution Transition Plan, dapat po na-implement nila yon this year. Except siguro for those positions na dapat na ma-create nila. Kung hindi pa po nila na-create, maaaring ma-justify po yon dahil hindi pa rin naaayos yung mga QS sa civil service and etc. Kasi nga po, hindi pa rin naman approve yung Devolution Transition Plan ng mga agencies sa national level. Okay. Pero ang requirement po sa kanila, yung activities na na-identify nila, dapat po ma-utilize nila yung pondo for the delivery of the activities identified in the Devolution Transition Plan.
Okay. Salamat po, Ma'am PD, for your very comprehensive and responsive po na mga sagot po sa mga nagtanong po. For other participants po na would like to ask more questions or queries o may mga comments pa po, since we are short of time, 5 o'clock na, lampasan ng 5 o'clock, we encourage you na lang to send your queries, your comments, your question po sa email address ng CLG, Ateneo de Naga University. Magpo-post na lang po sila sa Facebook ng CLG. Okay? So, salamat po for the active participation. Salamat po, Ma'am PD Melody. Salamat po for all the participants. So let us not forget po na with all this na mga discussion po na sa webinar, yung cash landing on you. Sana maganda yung cash landing. Yung cash landing would improve the quality of lives of all the Filipinos. So we have all participation po dito sa strategies and concretization of LGUs approved annual investment plan. So sa paggawa po ng plano, sa pag-budget, we do not just rely on the local government units sa mga mayors o sa mga governors, but tayo po mga stakeholders, we also have to participate sa, lalo sa pagpaplano, na kasama din po tayo dyan, gaya ng paggawa po ng comprehensive development plan na sectoral po siya. So yung sectoral sa ekonomiya, sa infra, sa environment, sa social, meron po tayo sa institutional. So we have participation. So let us not forget, dahil meron ding mandanas ruling as discussed po ni Ma'am PD Melody. Clear na clear po yung discussion niya na ito po yung Supreme Court ruling na the court clarified po yung basis for the computation of the share of the local government unit at nag-increase po yung share ng mga local government units. Pero yung problema lang po nagka-pandemic po, so medyo hindi mataas yung collection. So mababa din yung share nila for 2022. So minention din po ni Ma'am PD Melody yung tungkol sa devolution na binigyan po ng 3 years po yung local government units na ma-fully devolve po yung mga devolved functions para maibigay yung tama, yung may kalidad na mga basic services sa tao. Pero we are still coping dahil grabe po yung epekto ng pandemic. Meron pa po tayo ngayon na natapos pa lang po yung tropical storm Paeng. May epekto, malaki din yung epekto niyan sa ekonomiya. Saka yung ongoing pa pong gera sa Russia at sa Ukraine. So epekto din po yan. So kailangan we hold on together. So yung mga sinabi ni Ma'am na strategies, lalo yung fund sourcing, importante po yun. So we encourage din po yung mga queries nyo, yung mga comments pa nyo na we would be able to be partners para matulungan po natin yung local government units na maging responsive yung kanilang approved annual investment plan at yung strategies. So let us all be good stewards of the financial resources ng local government units so that we would be able to help one another uplift our economy, uplift the lives of every Filipino. So salamat po for the closing ceremonies. Meron po kami, Ma'am PD, ng awarding of Certificate of Appreciation po para kay PD Melody for the effort, for the time po shared, kahit alam namin po na pagod na po kayo for the whole week. Dami pong workload. So ito po, ma'am, yung Certificate of Appreciation from Ateneo Dinaga Center for Local Governance. Center for Local Governance. Basahin ko na lang po, ma'am. Certificate of Appreciation to Melody Relucio Sesso 5 for unselfishly sharing her time, knowledge, and expertise as a resource speaker during the webinar entitled Cash Landing on You, Strategies on Concretization of LGUs Approved Annual Investment Plan, held on November 3, today is 3, November 4, 2022. Sign, Malusi Barciliano, PhD, Dean, Graduate School, Director, Center for Local Governance. So siguro may we also request po si Dr. Malu. Okay, ma'am, for the awarding of the certificate po kay Ma'am PD. Pero po kayo gorgeous at ang gagaling pong mga kababaihan. Women power talaga. Si Ma'am Malu at si Ma'am PD. Sige po.
So, Ma'am Melody, this is your certificate of appreciation. Okay, so we are awarding you virtually the certificate, ma'am. So,
Thank you very much po. Thank you very much po.
Salamat. Salamat po.
Thank you very much po. Keep safe, everyone.
Till next time po. Salamat po.
Thank you, G.
Yes po. Yes, ma'am. Yung evaluation link po, reminder lang po, naka-flash po yung link po ng evaluation. So paki-accomplish na lang po para you would be able to get your e-certificate po. Thank you very much. Thumbs up po sa lahat. Keep safe, keep well, and God bless us all. Salamat po. Ay, hello po. Yung photo ops po sa mga participants. Salamat po for your very active participation po. Till next time, mag-photo ops po, ma'am. Paki-on po yung camera. Paki-on po yung camera, ma'am. Sir, ma'am, sir. Salamat po. Ma'am, sir, yung mga nandyan pa po, pa-on ng camera. Ay, si Ma'am PD. Naka-ano na, siguro off na siya. Okay po. Sige, ma'am. Smile po. Okay na po yung walang face mask baga. No wearing voluntary. No wearing of face mask. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Sa camera pa lang ako. Salamat. Sige po. Next slide. Next page. Wala na si Ma'am PD. Okay, thank you very much po. One more. Next slide. Smile. Mas okay walang face mask. Okay na po kahit walang face mask. Yan, sister. Salamat. Okay po. Okay na po. Salamat po ulit. Till next time po.